Good morning, everybody. All right, good to see you all here this morning. Good to have you worshiping with us at 11:11 celebration. How many of you, just out of curiosity, how many of you marched yesterday? We had a few. I'm not trying to get political. I'm just curious. I saw a lot of 11:11 people there, and then a lot of them are not here that were there yesterday. I guess that was their church yesterday. So it was an interesting day yesterday for a lot of different reasons, one of which I need to say thank you for. So many of you have come out of the woodwork and been gracious to Linda and I in the loss of both of our moms in the last 2 weeks. And have been really kind and compassionate and helped in a number of different ways, and we're very grateful for that. I apologize for those of you. There was a few folks that actually showed up yesterday because our graveside for my mother was on Thursday, and it said Saturday the 28th, but a lot of folks, I think, assumed just Saturday, and so they showed up yesterday, and they found a lovely men's chorus who was performing that was going throughout the whole church, but there was no service. My mother's memorial is next Sunday in the sanctuary. I'm sorry, Saturday. Yes, thank you. I'm a little disoriented right now. That's okay. But yeah, it'll be next Saturday at 1 p.m. So would love to see you there, but I appreciate your prayers and concerns. And while I'm talking, I hope you're registering your attendance. And on that card or else online, you can scan the code and do it there online. Just a couple of quick announcements before we begin with the worship portion. Wine and Wishful Thinking, the Fit First yoga class, you'll see that on the back. I have a tour that I'm leading with two other good people. Jay Staley of Houston, who is an international labyrinth builder. He's been here to speak before. And then also Bat Burns, who is an internationally known storyteller, performer, a former teacher and educator, and now leads tours throughout Ireland. He actually lives in Sneem, Ireland. And so the three of us will be leading a Sacred Sites tour, Sacred Spaces tour of Ireland in the first 2 weeks of August. And we'll also be building an international labyrinth, a peace labyrinth, at the border of Northern Ireland and the Republic in a little town called Clonez. So it's going to be a really fun and interesting experience, as well as a missional approach to it as well. So hopefully you can join us on that. You can email me for more information. There's a link there, as well as on the emails that you'll be getting. So let me know if you have any questions about that. This morning, we are really privileged to have as our guest speaker, Karen Blesson, who will be up here in a little while. She came with us, spoke with us last September. She is a nationally known artist and a journalist. She's done journalistic work, but for the last number of years, her art has been completely devoted towards justice and social issues in Dallas and beyond. And last year was awarded the Dallas Peacemaker Award by the Dallas Peace Society. So we are so grateful to have her here, and she's going to speak about some of the amazing things that she's been doing there, and just the power of art as a vehicle, as a pathway towards peace in the world. So we're glad to have you, Karen. Thank you for being with us. Let's begin. Would you help me, Debbie? We have this sort of new call to worship that we're starting with. And once again, I'm going to say it the first time, and then I'll invite you to say it with us, the welcome candle, as we say this together. I'll let you light that first so you can hold that up. We gave her a really difficult lighter. Great. I'll say it first and then invite you to join with me. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. It doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you have broken your vows 1,000 times, come yet again. Let's say it together. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. It doesn't matter. Ours is a caravan of despair. Come, even if you have not broken your... You guys are doing so much better than me. Let's all stand as we... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Nope. Let's listen to the band as they begin.
Maybe you can have all the things that you've ever dreamed of. you can drive your Hummer down your gold-plated streets with your dove. Of all the things that you want to buy, how do they make you feel inside? You won't find your light in the bargain bin, so you better start your path within it. Revolutionize your soul, yeah. Revolutionize your soul. Revolutionize your soul. What if you had never seen a skyscraper or a superstar? Going up and down in an elevator, never knowing who you are. Of all the things that you have seen, do you even know where you have been? Get up right now and look towards the light. This might be your last chance to ignite it. Revolutionize your soul, yeah. Revolutionize your soul, yeah. Revolutionize your soul. Of all the things, oh, that you see, do you even know where you have been? Get up right now and look towards the light. This might be your last chance to ignite it. Revolutionize your soul, yeah. Revolutionize your soul, yeah. Revolutionize your soul. Revolutionize your soul. Revolutionize your soul. Got to revolutionize your soul. Revolutionize your soul.
I'll do it. At this time, I'd like to invite everyone to please stand. If you have an offering, we can bring it up here to the round table, and we're going to sing a song together. Are y'all ready? All right. Here we go. It's called I'm Willing. Join us. I am open, I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up sorrow in my town. There is pain all across the nation, and there is wailing the whole world around. I am open, I am willing for to be hopeless, which seems so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. Here we go. And may the children see more clearly. May the elders be more wise. May the winds of change caress us, even though it burns our eyes. Another chorus. I am open, I am willing, yeah, for to be hopeless, which seems so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. Big finish. So lift me up to the light of change. Indeed, very well done. Would you take a moment and offer one another a sign of peace, please? So I want to do a song for you. Peter Mayer's song, many of you know this song. This is our prayer time as we get ready for Kairos, that time between time. It's a beautiful song that he wrote just in perspective, sort of thinking. Granted, it's a song that sort of puts you in mind of the season we're in, winter season, so it does speak about snow. You may have to use your imagination a little bit. We seem to be more in spring right now. But the notion is just how grand life is, how amazing life is, how large life is, and how much peace there is in recognizing even our infinitesimal kind of relationship to the world, how amazingly miraculous that can feel in the midst of things, and what great perspective that can bring when we come to that awareness. So he wrote this song called My Soul, and I invite you to sort of just, if you like, close your eyes as you listen to the words, or just kind of get in a quiet space. I'll use this as sort of our way of getting into just a brief moment of silence and prayer. There are 100 billion snowflakes swirling in the cosmic storm, and each one is a galaxy, a billion stars or more, and each star is a million Earths, a giant fiery sun, high up in some sky, shining on snowflake, I am floating quietly. I am infinitesimal, impossible to see. Sitting in my tiny kitchen, in my tiny home, staring out my window, a universe of snow. But my soul is much bigger than the very tiny me. It reaches out into the snowstorm like a net into the sea, out to all the lovely places where my body cannot go. I touch that beauty and embrace it in the bosom of my soul. And so brief and fleeting is this tiny life of mine, like a single quarter note in the march of time. But my soul is like the music, it goes back to ancient days, back before it wore a human face, long before it bore my name. Because my soul is so much older than the evanescent me. It describes the dawn of time like a childhood memory. It was a spark that was begotten of a darkness long ago. And what my body has forgotten, I remember in my soul. And so we live this life together, my giant soul and tiny me, one resembling forever, one like smoke upon the breeze, one the deep abiding ocean, one a sudden flashing wave. And counting galaxies like snowflakes, I would swear we were the same. Oh, my soul belongs to beauty. Take me up to lofty heights, teach your sacred stories to me, sanctifies my tiny life, lays a bridge across the ages, melts the boundaries of my bones, and plants a bold eternal face on this passing moment. Oh, my soul. I invite you just to take a minute. Close your eyes, take a deep breath. However you can find yourself in that state of just quiet peacefulness. Imagine yourself in some place, if it's in a large field, if it's at the top of the mountain, if it's in your home, you're looking out the window and suddenly you notice the trees and realize you've been missing something so much larger. Just take a moment to breathe in the vastness and the beauty of creation. Holy One, we pray for another way of seeing, another way of being in the world. Challenge us even with another way of knowing, that we might recognize just how small we are. And give us that sense of comfort that lets us know that as small as we are part of this great interdependency of life. That at the very foundation of all of our lives is this great wonder that holds us. This great sustaining love. And we find ourselves surrounded by division and anger, storms of nature and the storms of life. Remind us, as small as we are like a pebble. And when we can remember where we are in the midst of this great wonder, even our ripples get wider and wider. And for the simple beauty that we are in the midst of all that life is, we give thanks.
Our reading this morning is from Amos, and hear the words of a frustrated prophet. Justice is a lost cause. Evil is epidemic. Decent people throw up their hands. Protest and rebuke are useless, a waste of breath. Seek good and not evil, and live. You talk about God being your best friend? Well, live like it and work it out in the public square. And now, poem The Mirror of the World by Mahmoud Sabastari. Every particle of the world is a mirror. In every atom lies the blazing sun of 1,000 suns. Cleave the heart of a raindrop, 100 pure oceans will pour forth. Look closely at a grain of sand. The seed of 1,000 beings can be seen. The foot of an ant is larger than an elephant. In essence, a drop of water is no different than the Nile. In the heart of a barley corn lies the fruit of 100 harvests. Within the pulp of a millet seed, an entire universe can be found. In the wing of a fly, an ocean of wonder. In the pupil of an eye, an endless heaven. Though the inner chamber of the heart is small, the Lord of both worlds gladly makes his home there.
Woke up this morning, I suddenly realized we're all in this together. I started smiling, 'cause you were smiling. We're all in this together. I'm made of atoms, you're made of atoms, and we're all in this together. And long division just doesn't matter, 'cause we're all in this together. Yeah. I saw you marching in the city. We're all in this together. The city's changing, 'cause we are changing, and we're all in this together. Every 12 seconds, someone remembers that we're all in this together. In the kitchen of your rent-controlled apartment, we're all in this together. Come on, people, I don't mean to rush you. I only wanted to reach out and touch you. I've got to start to open my heart. I know you think about jumping ship before it sinks, but we are all in this together. Ask a scientist, it's quantum physics. We're all in this together. And on the subway, we feel like strangers, but we're all in this together. Yeah, I love you, and you love her, and she loves him, but we are all in this together. You know, baby, there's never been protection in all the history of human connection. Come on, darling, it's all right to show me you don't have need to be lonely. Once you start to open your heart, I saw you crying, I started crying, 'cause we're all in this together. And then religion, it's a big decision, but we're all in this together. We're all in this together. We are 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 all in this together.
Thank you, artists. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for having me here today. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Sharm. I was here last September, and it's wonderful to be back in this church again. I honor you and all of you here for the many ways that you connect with the divine through music, through poetry. There are many ways for us to see God and to see the holy in the world around us, and so I think it's lovely what you do. Thank you. All right. Where do I point this? That way?
It takes a second, though, is what I heard. There it is.
Oh. Okay. So I'm Karen Blesson, and for many years I had the career of my dream when I was a 16-year-old kid in my small town in Nebraska. I wanted to be an artist, and I didn't have any clue what that was going to look like, but it worked out. And I worked with an agent in New York City and in Dallas, and I had clients all over the world, and it was exactly what I wanted. And then something happened on an August night in 2000 that revolutionized my soul. It ignited me, and it revolutionized my soul. I live in a nice neighborhood in Dallas, and it was about 2 a.m, and my husband and I were lying in bed, and I heard a shot. And a young man was shot and killed in my front yard. It was a completely senseless killing. The killers were found within 2 weeks because they used the credit cards of the victim within 29 minutes, actually, of the shooting. So I wasn't so interested in why the murder happened because it was senseless. I wasn't interested in who did it because we found out right away. What interested me was what is the effect of one act of violence on the whole circle of the community around that act, on the people closest in, the families of both the victim and the shooter, the homicide detective, the people in my neighborhood, the people who loved all of these people who were involved. And I did a story that I worked on for 3 years called One Bullet for the Dallas Morning News. And in that, I interviewed all these people. I couldn't go back to my wonderful life in my beautiful studio in my backyard because I had experienced this deep outrage. And really, I was ignited by that. And I didn't know what to do, though. What do you do when something has happened? You can't go back to what you did before. What I decided to do over a period of a couple of years was use what I know, which is art, to turn this holy outrage into action. So 12 years ago, with a friend of mine, Dr. Barbara Miller, who's the director of admissions for Baylor College of Dentistry, we started a nonprofit organization with a mission to use art basically to make the world a better place. We teach kids about nonviolence. That's one of the things we do. We're working really on 2 lanes, and one of these lanes is this educational program we do where we go into schools, we train teachers. We've now worked with over 49,000 kids in the Dallas area, kids from all different socioeconomic backgrounds. We are just as interested in working at the kids in the affluent private school as we are in working with the kids who are in juvenile detention, or with prostitutes who are trying to work their way off the street, or with refugee kids. Because we feel that these skills of not only creating personal peace, but how to navigate this world without resorting to immediate, violent acts is important for all of us. So we have developed a curriculum, and that curriculum teaches things like empathy, compassion, a lesson called love, a lesson called respect. We're working on 3 new ones now, one on forgiveness, one on wonder and curiosity, and one that's called Souls Hidden, which is about everything that's invisible. It could be our ancestors, it could be our angels, it could be feelings. And we've trained over 400 teachers at this point. The kids are terrific. One of the kids said, we learned about people who change the world in large and small ways. No matter how small we are changing the world, it makes a big difference. One of the things we do is that we work very hard to get our kids' art exhibited in public locations. I tease the kids that they've had their art in more great venues than I have. Our kids have had their art in the Dallas Museum of Art, in the African American Museum, at North Park Shopping Center, Neiman Marcus, at the Love Field, you go on and on and on, the South Side on Lamar, the Dallas Public Library, all around the city. One of the huge projects we did in 2013, how many of you are aware that Dallas fairly or unfairly garnered the label of City of Hate after the Kennedy assassination? Okay. Well, we in 29 Pieces were hearing these rumblings of a lot of journalists were coming into the city talking about City of Hate. How does it feel to live in a city of hate? Well, we didn't like that. We see too much love around. We see a lot of great teachers. We see a lot of kids who are filled with love. We started talking about what can we do. So we came up with this crazy idea to have 10,000 pieces of art created about divine love using quotes from great peacemakers, great poets, great artists, great musicians. And we intended to display them along the Kennedy motorcade route that President Kennedy, when he landed at Love Field, came through downtown Dallas and died in Parkland Hospital. So by some miracle, we did it. Sharm was very involved in the project, and we had over 20,000 artists participating, created 10,000 pieces of art. We displayed the art in, I think, 67 locations, and the first exhibit was a beautiful exhibit at Love Field, and the last exhibit was at Parkland Hospital. So in that, we got a tremendous amount of press because indeed there were people from TV networks, press from all over the world. We got something like 185 million press impressions from that project. So we got a lot of publicity from it. And publicity is something that we are not shy in our organization about pursuing. When we plan any project, we plan how are we going to get the word out about this project, because we feel like it's important. The one-on-one is super important with what we do with the kids or adults that we're working with, but just as important is for people out in the community to know about what we're doing. We've been working really since the tone of the election, way back in the primaries, was taking kind of an ugly turn, and we were hearing from teachers that kids were replicating the kind of dialogues that we were hearing, and I'm talking way back in the beginning of the primaries, where kids were replicating the kind of wordage that they were hearing on television. So we came up with a project called the Dallas Respect Project, and we wanted to reach out and touch as many kids and adults with this project that talks about how do we really see each other as being in this boat together? How do we listen to one another? How do we respect people who don't look like us or who don't share our beliefs? So we created a project in which the art's round like viruses. We talked about how viruses can be a good thing and can spread in a healthy way if they're good things. And we created a pledge, a respect pledge, and we have asked people to go to our website and to sign it. Mayor Rawlings, the mayor of Dallas, happened to be at one of our events and saw a giant poster of the respect pledge and asked us to come to city council to challenge the city council members to sign the respect pledge. That was interesting. One city councilman would not sign it. The others would. But it's I understand, because it's asking a lot. It's not something that we can pledge lightly, to sit, have a room hold all of our beliefs, and to sit and listen respectfully. It's asking a lot of us. And so to take a pledge, I like it when people take it seriously. So the other lane that we work on is 29 pieces of sculpture. After I told you about the murder that occurred, a couple of things came together at that time. I started to do a meditation practice. At that time, I felt so angry. I felt so angry at the violence in this world and just the things that were happening. And I did not know how to challenge that, or how to channel it, rather. About that time, somebody introduced me to a meditation practice where you memorize sacred passages from Christianity, from Judaism, from Buddhism, from Hinduism, from Native American prayers, and you commit to saying them slowly and silently to yourself every morning for half an hour. And once I started that, it began inspiring the series of 29 sculptures, and that's where the title 29 Pieces comes in. These 29 pieces of sculpture are the other lane that 29 Pieces, the organization, is in. We just finished this piece, which is a 20-foot mosaic permanent sculpture on Jefferson Boulevard in Oak Cliff. It's right near the historic Texas Theater where Oswald was captured. And it says, "Make my hands respect the things you have made." So when I was hearing the song that Tom was doing about looking at a snowflake, or the Mahmoud Shabastari poem about really looking at all the beauty around us, that's what this is about. This is about looking at all the beauty we see, slowing down enough to really take it in. So this is the first sculpture. We work with teams. We have high school kids that are recruited from 4 different high schools in the area, from Sunset High School, Adamson High School. These names may mean nothing to you, but they're diverse high schools in Dallas. And they go through a pretty good application process where they have to come to several meetings, do an application, do an essay, and then they have to show up at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning for an interview. The kids then are involved in a long-term project that goes on, this one went on 18 months before we completed the art. They work with great professional artists who show them everything from how to conceive of designs to how to talk about them. One of the biggest things we learned about is that kids really have a need to learn how to talk to adults. And so we're so proud that the kids we've worked with, these kids, can really, I tease them that they can work a room as good as any adult that I know now. They would come in here and be able to talk to any of you about what we've been doing. They earn scholarships. The sculpture is expensive. It cost us about $250,000 to do that one sculpture. That money was raised through foundations, through individuals, through businesses in the Oak Cliff area in Dallas. But we gave over $22,000 in scholarships to the kids. For every, I think, 30 hours they worked, they got a $250 scholarship. And that's the program we're going to use for the next pieces that we do. We have a big dream, and our big dream, our big vision, and we're going to try to do it quick because I want to do it while I'm still living, is to do 28 more of these pieces and to turn Dallas into a city of sculpture. Philadelphia has a reputation as a city of murals, and we have this idea of Dallas as a city of sculpture. We're looking at the West End area in Dallas for the next 3. We want to do 3 pieces in the next year. And these 3 pieces, and these designs came up way before our current president began talking about walls. We want to build 3 walls. And the first one is a wall of forgiveness. And this is just like a draft 1, sketch 1 phase of it. This is not how it will end up looking, but it'll look something like this. This is inspired by a St. Teresa of Lisieux prayer called Living on Love. We've been talking about walls a lot. And so think about walls. What are walls? Are walls only something that keeps you from me? No. A wall can be something that keeps the hailstorm away from me. A wall can be something that gives us quiet and sanctuary. A wall can be something we can't even see. If I really don't feel like talking to you, I will build a wall right here. I'll build a wall right here and dare you to try to penetrate that. If I don't want you to talk to me, I'll talk nonstop so that you can't penetrate that wall of sound coming and try to reach me. So there's all kinds of walls, and there's the Wailing Wall. So we want these walls. We want people who work on this and who come to see these when they're installed to really think about what is a wall. Do we always want to break down walls, or do we want to build walls? Do we want to build bridges? Do we want our walls to be transparent? There's all kinds of walls. Walls are not good or bad. We want ours to be good. This is going to be a wall of forgiveness. The prayer line that inspires this one is, I see no imprint of my sins. In a moment, love has burned everything. So it's in my mind, it's about the power of love to allow forgiveness and redemption. The next one is inspired by the Mahmoud Shabastari poem that was read earlier, and it's inspired by a line called, "Cleave the heart of a raindrop, 100 pure oceans will pour forth." We did a session at 9:30 this morning with some of the people who were here, which I asked the people to write their own response to that line. I thought it was just beautiful what people came up with. So this one is about the beauty and the wonder of water. Where does that water come from? Cleave the heart of a raindrop. What does that mean? If we had a raindrop in front of us and cleaved it, where does that water come from? It's really very scientific almost. It's like, scientifically, where does it come from? Poetically, what does that mean to us? What does it mean when water evaporates from the Trinity River, from the Gulf of Mexico, and from the Ganges, and from the Indian Ocean, evaporates, all becomes one, and then rains on us? What does that mean? What kind of baptism is that? This one is inspired by a rabbi, Abraham Isaac Cook, and it's a prayer called Radiant is the World Soul. And it goes on to say, full of strength and wisdom, full of hidden souls. So this one, we want it to be about what's invisible. What when we're looking at here, what's really around us that we're not seeing? And so with this one, we really, I don't know what direction it'll go, but I can see it going to be about our ancestors, about angels, about our feelings, about our loves. I wanted to just really kind of face head on, just kind of face these last months and these last weeks, and as a person who's out in the world trying to teach nonviolence, trying to teach nonviolent communication, I have found the last months challenging. I have found that I've had to really search for my guiding philosophy and to really search for where my commitments lie. And can I hold within this one person heart and mind this desire to teach nonviolence and to teach peace and to teach empathy and compassion, but also to feel a lot of outrage and fear about this division that's happening between us. Because I am personally experiencing, and I'm hearing a lot of people talk to me about how they are having trouble talking to their families, that Thanksgiving was very uneasy, Christmas was very uneasy, and that they aren't going to see their old friends from high school or their older family. I find that hard to hold right now, and I'm just trying to figure out what's my philosophy. How do I move forward as a person who truly does believe that we all are one and that we're all connected, but I'm kind of mad too, and so I keep going back to people who've come before us. I love this quote from, these two quotes from Septima Poinsetta Clark. She was called the mother of the civil rights movement by Martin Luther King. And she says, "I have a great belief in the fact that whenever there is chaos, it creates wonderful thinking. I consider chaos a gift." Well, speaking for myself only, I feel like there's chaos unleashed right now. And we can either look at it as something to be terrified by, which I do feel at moments, or as a great gift to try to really unthread it and figure out what is going on, what are the solutions, what can we do to pull ourselves together and to pull us back into the same boat. We are on the same boat. What do we need to do to make this chaos a gift? And of course, Gandhi. This is kind of my quote that I tell our staff and our people and our kids all the time. Full effort is full victory. Satisfaction lies in the effort, not in the attainment. Full effort is full victory, from Gandhi. And I don't think we have the capacity. I know we don't. We don't have the capacity to know the outcome of our actions. We have no idea if this one act of kindness is going to be repaid us or if that person's going to pay it forward. We don't know. All we do know is full effort is full victory. We can search our heart at the end of the day, and we can say, I did what I could. I did everything I could. I could not have done any more. So this has been my saving grace right now, is to look back at Poinsetta Septima Clark, at Gandhi, at Mother Teresa, at St. Teresa of Lisieux, at Mahmoud Shabastari, and know that there are greater minds, greater spirits than mine who have faced chaotic times, and they were able to find some truths and beauty in that, and they were able to hold on to beauty. So I think that we have this era really of crazy opportunity for wonderful thinking and creative thinking ahead of us. For no matter what your political opinion is or where you stand, we have work to do. we have to step up our game, figure out how to work together, how not to blow up this planet, how to protect this beautiful earth of ours, and work together. So with that, I'm going to continue what I do, which is using art to do that, using art to work with kids. And I hope that all of us figure out our ways to get real creative in these next months and these next years, because I think that we are all being called to come together somehow. So thank you so much for having me here today.
I'll invite you to stay here with me, and I'll invite all of us to go ahead and just stand together and maybe take one another's hand if we can. We'll have a blessing, and well, you've given us some good stuff to think about as well. It's just you're an inspiration. You know, there's a line from that Indigo Girls song, and Brad, I don't remember the name of that song, but the line in it is, "We get to be a ripple in the water," and what a privilege. In the midst of life, in the midst of this life stirring, we get to be a ripple. If we choose to be, we get to be this ripple. Maybe it's figuring out how we connect to the larger pool, to the larger source. If we can remind ourselves that we are a part of that larger beauty, then we can start making some ripples. Thank you so much. So let's have a blessing and stick around as we sing Let the River Run. Let's pray. Holy One, as we go from this place, we give thanks for the mystery in which we live and even the chaos in which we live, the challenge of this sort of new way of seeing the world that seems to be around us. And yet we are a part of something ancient. We are part of something that is always moving and always moving in a way that seeks peace. Bless us as we go from this place, that we might be a ripple, that we might find that connection, that we might be agents of peace in the world, that we might be a part of this new Jerusalem, this new possibility of everyone recognizing the holiness in our midst. Amen.
Awesome. See you next week, everybody.